then, the kind of main thing that took up a hell of a lot of time was raising. So we raised, about just shy of £200,000.
It's amazing, right?
By the time I had done it, I was just desperate to get on and start being able to dedicate all of my time to actually growing the business, because it's difficult to grow the business when you're raising money, which is so time consuming, as I'm sure you know.
Good morning, everybody that's listening this morning, or well, by the time you'll be listening, it will be midday at the end of the sun is coming out, but we have had a bit of drizzle this week. But as a good friend of mine said, it's like liquid gold of the water is raining down on the planet, and without the rain we wouldn't have the planet. So at the end of the day, that's my little bit of positivity into our rainy week that we've had. So we're going to finish it off with someone else who's certainly good for the planet as far as I'm concerned, and definitely good for the soul. He was part of my journey a few years ago. He's a very dear friend of mine. I kind of weirdly consider him like my second son, which kind of gives away my age, but only because he shares the same birthday as my son. But also he is amazing what he's achieved. And I've literally seen him from start of the very, very beginning of the birth of his journey. So I'm delighted to have this guest back on pretty much a year later, actually.
Yeah,
and
give or take.
Yeah, give or take a year. It is Ralph, and he is the founder of IKÓ Drinks, which you might notice is this one is a different color. It even matches my eyewear. Clearly, I'm just now coordinated with what I drink. That's how much I give, Ralph. That's how much I give. But
it's interesting to see, actually, because last time we had the blue cans, didn't we?
Last time we had the blue cans, and when you beautifully sent me a box of these amazing drinks, which are helping me not drink caffeine, I can tell you now. They were all different colours. So, Rafe, for those that didn't see your episode, we will put a link below to your original episode when you first started. Introduce yourself in your car.
So I'm Rafe. I'm the founder of IKÓ Drinks. IKÓ is a sparkling energy tea. So we make it with mate, which is a South American plant that's basically packed full of vitamins, minerals, and a balance of stimulants. So it's a pick-me-up without the downsides usually associated with caffeine.
And why is it that caffeine gives you that kind of...
that crash and those jitters? So I did a lot of research on this. To cut a long story short, I've got a lot of mates of mine who I spoke to about this who usually start laughing when I try and explain it, because they like to do things very precisely. But to cut a very long story short, caffeine leaches from your body a bunch of minerals and vitamins in order to give you that boost. And when the caffeine boost is sort of gone, you're running on empty, so you crash until you replenish all of the things that you took from your body. Right. So essentially, the way that mate works is because it's ram-packed full. And I mean, there's a quote that goes to say, it's difficult to find a plant in any area of the world equal to mate in nutritional value. Right. So we're not just talking about like, it's good for you. It's insanely good for you. Right. It's replacing all that it's taking. So it does contain caffeine, but it's balanced. So it doesn't feel anything like caffeine.
It really doesn't. And it's really, I mean, you definitely, you got me onto the mate journey. I remember a certain forage around Harrods with one of our dear friends, Russia, looking for you remember? Looking for some mate, which I still drink, actually, that brand as well. But it really is refreshing. And also for people like myself who would love to drink coffee all day long if I could, this is something actually that you can literally drink throughout the day. But also what I've noticed, I am now officially teetotal, is that there are an amazing amount of drinks that you can mix. That I've had this with ice. You've really been exploring other alternatives.
We have.
Drinking this, haven't you? So could you talk a bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've been doing all manner of mixing it up, and we're still working it out. Basically, it's such a new thing here in the UK, and we know that it's working in a huge way in the US. We know that it's working in a huge way in Europe, under a couple of brands in each of those territories. So we're the first people, really, among the first people to do it here. And we've just got to kind of work it out as we go along. So we've been trying everything from, pitching it to people as an alcohol alternative, literally just drinking mate to keep up with their friends when they're on a night out and they might be drinking, because it gives you a kind of an equivalent buzz, if you like. We've been mixing it with alcohol for people who want to use it as a kind of healthy version of a vodka Red Bull, say.
Oh, so that's cool. So you can mix it. So that's nice. You can mix them.
Yeah, you can. I mean, we for anyone who is interested in doing that, we use this the sweetening element, because mate on its own is quite bitter.
Yeah.
The sweetening element, to take the edge off that, we use agave syrup, which is a very low GI cactus sap. And that's the same plant as you use to make tequila, so it goes very well with tequila as a result.
Do you know what I was just about to say to you?
Yeah.
It goes tequila.
Yeah, it does.
Only because I've had a few tequilas with you.
Yeah.
You in our
yeah, a few in the past.
But they were neat, Rafe. We didn't have this advantage. Now we have it. It. Well, now those tequila drinkers have it.
Now we're wiser.
Now, because tequila as well is actually, saying this from a non-alcoholic, it's an upper. Yeah, it's that's why we like to drink it, because it's not
exactly. It's supposed to be the only spirit that is not a depressant. So yeah, I mean, we've been doing that on the sort of drink side and the pure effects in that respect. But then we've also had people come to us. We had someone come to us who suffers from ME, which is also known as chronic fatigue syndrome.
Yes.
Who literally finds it incredibly difficult just to get out of bed on any given day. She's actually a brand ambassador for us now, and she's gone on camera recently and been telling everyone else who suffers from it, drink this stuff, because forget the drugs, forget all of this stuff that she was being given. For her, IKÓ, weirdly, is the only thing that kind of makes her feel a natural level of sustained energy, which is extraordinary to me. Amazing. It's not something that I ever expected, that level of power, and for it to have that much of an impact on someone's life. And the key, I think, for her is that it's sustainable. She can keep drinking it, and there's no crash, there's no downsides. That's why we say it's an energy without the downsides. I had someone else who, on a very different side of it, suffered from quite severe ADHD. And they started drinking it at work and said that they can just suddenly concentrate for as long as anyone else in the office, which again was something that I'd never experienced before. But this had helped them do that. It's incredible. So, we're getting all manner of different people coming to us saying it's just helping me with all kinds of crazy issues that way more than I ever suspected would be helped by it.
Amazing. That is utterly amazing. When you had this idea, this vision of what you were doing, a lot of it, for those that don't know the backstory about it, you do, how does it give back to the planet? And it's your sort of chrysalis idea for this, because you're passionate about it, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is really the nub of it. The whole reason why I choose to do something that makes me cry about 5 times a week is because the way that we grow the mate is not just sustainable; it's beyond sustainable. It actually reforests and helps draw down carbon from the atmosphere and lock it in the soil. So, because mate grows naturally under the shade of the canopy in the subtropical rainforest, what that means is it makes it a great candidate for a method of farming called agroforestry. Essentially, what that means is you're either planting crops in the existing forest, or you're planting a new area of forest to grow your crops in, right? Wow. You're literally just using the forest as a very healthy place to grow crops. The reason why it's healthy is because in that naturally biodiverse system, you've got very healthy soil that gets healthier and healthier every year because it's enriched by the nutrients and microbiology supported by all of the plants growing on it. And also you've got the fully biodiverse above the ground, if you like, with birds, insects, everything, and a balance there that means you don't need pesticides, crucially. Mm-hmm. So it's a self-supporting system. And for the farmers, of course, it's a very cheap one. That's very, very low maintenance, because some of the two biggest expenses on any farm outside of the farm machinery usually are fertilizer and pesticide.
And that, I mean, because it's phenomenal when you think, like you just mentioned about ADHD and about ME, MS, was it? You said that MS. Yeah. That you're starting to see that these natural things are helping other conditions.
Definitely.
I mean, what a surprise, Rafe.
Right. But it's something that we're coming
we didn't expect, is what I'm saying. You know,
it's something that we're coming around to. But you know, it's funny because I spent a good couple of years sitting in this wonderful group of people who in my life generally, who all acknowledge that, and a bit more explanation, a bit more open to the idea of something outside of, you know, just what's available and what's rubber stamped. And more recently, I've kind of come back into contact much more frequently with the other kinds. And it's kind of been eye-opening, actually, because it's sort of the rose-tinted specs get taken away, and realizing that there are people who still wholesale, there's a big group of people who are very, very uncomfortable to explore the idea of any kind of natural remedy potentially having any kind of legs, right?
Yeah.
The one thing that often comes up is it's placebo. It's just placebo effect, right? If it's having a positive effect, it's placebo effect. My answer to that is basically, regardless of whether or not it is placebo, your body's healing itself, right? That's what placebo means. Even if it made up the problem in the first place, something like chronic pain, for example, is a perceived thing, but it doesn't make it any less real. So if you can heal yourself mentally, or whether it's got anything to do with what you're consuming generally, fantastic.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, that's like win-win situation, isn't it?
Right, exactly.
You know, I've got pain, I haven't got pain. Brilliant. And I'm not, I mean, that's brilliant. So tell me how it's been the last year. That is a lot, right? That's a lot.
Roller coaster.
I mean, when you came in the studio, you literally just got it out there, wasn't it? It was just literally just out there.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously we could.
Yeah. So I mean, it's funny. The whole journey goes so differently to however you imagine it's going to go. I always knew it was going to be hard and a steady one, particularly because we've got this huge bit of education to do. That's really our biggest, you know, challenge number one. So we started off with this energy drink idea, and we were just going to have one flavor and just push that. And very gradually over the years, we kind of realized that our customers were not who we thought they were. The reality is, if you call something an energy drink, you're marketing to people who buy energy drinks. And anyone who doesn't drink energy drinks, the people who are interested in their kind of health and well-being, are not going to go within 10 yards of something that says energy drink on the can, no matter how much information to the contrary might be on the back. They're just not going to pick it up and turn it around.
That's interesting.
So there's all kind of basic lessons like that were learned. Anyway, so fast forwarding a bit, we developed a couple more flavors. We had a couple more lighter flavors with half the caffeine of the original flavor, actually, that have proven much more popular. That was a bit of an eye-opener, I think, just because when you consume as much mate as I ended up doing, you sort of get desensitized to the power of that kind of euphoric rush. And it still can alarm some people when it's as powerful as the original flavor was. So we did that. The kind of main thing that took up a hell of a lot of time was raising. So we raised, about just shy of £200,000.
It's amazing, Rafe.
Thank you. Yeah, which was, I mean, it was great. We did that, and I think by the time I had done it, I was just desperate to get on and start being able to dedicate all of my time to actually growing the business, because it's difficult to grow the business when you're raising money, which is so time consuming, as I'm sure you know. And then
but can we just talk about that for a minute?
Yeah.
That is amazing.
Thank you.
It literally, we had a conversation, didn't we, with a friend of ours, same friend.
Yeah.
About, manifesting, working, going for your goals. You did it.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you think back,
amazing. Actually, funny enough, the one thing that I wish I did more is just stop and appreciate what I've done so far.
Gratitude, because
no matter whether it's kind of ultimately sink or swim, frankly, just to take a moment to be like, wow, I did that. It's a lot. It's a hell of a lot. It's crazy.
I mean, look, I know about raising money. It's not easy. And when you're passionate about something, and then these testing times, you've done this in a really, really testing time. So that is phenomenal. And your campaigns as well. I'm would commend you. I love your branding.
Thank you.
Love everything you're doing.
Yeah,
I mean, you're a passionate chap anyway, but I tell you what, it's got a kick to it. The campaign.
We're at this junction at the moment where the most recent decision. So we raised actually mostly off the back of piling it heavily into e-commerce.
Yeah.
And particularly to paid ads, right? So you're paying whatever you're paying. It's all done on algorithms on Facebook or Instagram, and you reach however many thousand people, and then you hope that eventually, once you've honed your ads and you've got your whole customer experience down on your website, that you have a conversion rate of whatever,
So it's quite smart, quite strategic.
It's great. It feels very comfortable because it's all very data driven, and that was for some reason made me feel happy and safe.
Yeah.
The reality is that you have to spend a hell of a lot of money to do that. And we worked out in about 3 months that whilst it was exactly where we expected it to be, actually, we were making great revenue. But I suddenly kind of took a step back and realized, crap, this is working on the old model of our old model, my initial model, which was what kind of everyone in my industry had been doing, which is spend a hell of a lot of money and raise all the time, basically. So you're constantly growing your revenue, and even though you're not necessarily profitable, you're probably not for years, you just still have that kind of momentum to be able to go and raise more money and raise more money and raise more money. What with everything that's happened in the last couple of months, really, and this global freak out.
I love the way you did that. Really, I mean, let's just all watch the news every day and really feel happy about life in general.
So
I'm drinking IKÓ out of this, by the way, just so you know. This is just my favorite.
Oh yeah. Nice.
Okay,
I would expect nothing.
Matches my lipstick. Okay, continue. Thank you.
So with all of this kind of global freak out, I suddenly realized, shit, we don't really want to be raising money about 6 months time, which was 6 to 9 months time, which was the original plan, because we'll be stuffed, or it will be so difficult to raise money, it just won't be worth our time. So I decided actually to just do a complete U-turn and pull out of all that e-commerce stuff, or at least out of the paid ad stuff, immediately, and kind of go way back to basics. So now my day-to-day is literally picking up the phone and calling offices, shops directly, going and visiting them directly, knocking on the door, and doing a good old-fashioned salesman role, and selling box by box. And we sell subscriptions, right? That's what we do. So what's happened is that fiery idea of being able to grow a business at rapid rate has kind of waned, at least for the time being, in favor of something that took me a while to get comfortable with, which was just a good old-fashioned business that you make profitable as quickly as you can, even if that means that the amount of money that we're making the revenue isn't necessarily as big as that we were first expecting. So it's kind of a nice, really, really nice, comfy place for us to be right now. We can get profitable much more quickly, and then we're going to be sustainable. We won't need to raise any more money.
Yeah.
It's a very different vibe to what I was thinking this time last year, which was, it's big, raising all the time, another big business, that kind of what's been the status quo for the last, I don't know, 10, 15 years or so.
There's a karma Rafe here sitting here. Yeah. I mean, you're pretty chilled out as it. You're always chilled on the outside, I know, but do you know what I mean? It's pretty, and it's like you say, it's sustainable. I think everyone has to build something now that is sustainable, whatever means that is.
Yeah, and sustainable financially as well.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, absolutely.
It's just been that. It's a funny, because it's not something that people have really been sort of speaking about that much until now.
Mm.
It's been completely acceptable to build a business that for decades is not profitable. It's kind of like all of these big tech businesses that never turn a profit, but because they've got such vast revenue and they are able to demonstrate growth, they're able to then go and keep raising money and keep funding the loss-making model, and every venture capital firm or private equity firm or investment bank or whoever it is buying into the round every time, or the public on an IPO, it's just a cloud. It's not really kind of based on anything other than the vague idea that you're going to be able to con someone into selling it on for more, even though there's fundamentally no real value there, right? And it's such an important point, because it's underpinning everything that's going on, and it's sort of reflective of everything that's been going on for forever, right? This idea of growth, but without the idea of thriving anywhere in there.
Well, I mean, a bit like the planet.
Right. Exactly that.
Let's just grow, buy, consume more, do more,
consume more, use, chuck it away, more, as long as we can keep going.
What about the planet?
Exactly. It's like if you can create a system that is closed, even though it might be a slower one, even though you might not be able to get all of the stuff that you wanted. And it's a real fact, right? We all want stuff. We all want nice stuff. So it's not as easy as just telling people, stop wanting stuff and we'll all be fine, right?
Yeah. It's a shift.
Eventually, there's, for me, it's been the deep level of satisfaction coming away from that rapid growth model and really coming to terms with, hey, you know what, I'm not necessarily going to grow as fast, but what I do grow is just going to be really healthy. I mean, financially, I'm going to be able to pay myself, and it's going to grow and grow and grow, and all the way along it's going to be profitable, and it will simply be a matter of one sale at a time, in short, rather than this kind of desperately trying to fuel this dying massive machine that once it inevitably collapses is going to be catastrophic for anyone who's near it,
especially your head.
Especially that,
which is your head, your soul, it's important. It's the pressure it puts on you that's got to be sustainable as well. And like we were saying before we recorded, it is tough at the moment. It's out there, and sending you a big hug down the mic. And
likewise.
I'm feeling it back, because I haven't seen you in the flesh for a long time. But it's running a business is tough, and I tend to remain educated but stay away from watching certain media.
Exactly.
I like to educate myself as much as I can, and talk to those that are educated in those areas, shall we say, because it is really, otherwise it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, and that does not help anybody at the moment. So I think what you're doing, going back to the real basics and the roots, is what we're going to see a lot lot happening with a lot of people. I think a lot of people have started to do that already. Yeah. We've started to do it as a company. We've started to do it in business. We've started to work more from home, hot desk from other places, share office space. You know, we've started to do that more because it makes more sense. There's so many things that you can do, but also doing something like you said that you really feel good about, that you feel like it's consistent and it's steady and it's growing at a pace that you can manage and that you can see a future in, rather than, oh my God, I mean, the pressure we put ourselves under to be the best within, I mean, like, we're only talking a year later.
Yeah, exactly. And I put myself under so much pressure, you know, every time something didn't turn out exactly the way I had envisioned it turning out.
Yeah.
Was initially, it was a huge hit and a huge, like, ego hit every time. Huge self-disappointment. And it didn't matter how much I could see through and round it all and kind of say, oh yeah, you know, I feeling don't need to feel that way. It didn't stop me feeling that way.
You still feel it, exactly.
And the only way to kind of quieten down the noise created by that was just to go through it again and again and again, until eventually I was able to go from experience, it's absolutely fine. All right, so it didn't work. You just throw some more shit at the wall until something sticks.
And it honestly, isn't it, that it's like going through it? It's like you have to, however avoidant we are of those feelings, they are just feelings.
Exactly.
Those feelings create. You've got to feel it, man, whether you want to or not. God damn it. There's so many things I don't want to feel. You got to feel it and experience it. And then you're coming from a totally authentic place. And you've always had that drive and that power and determination. And that's a gift, but it's also a curse. You know, you and I both suffer from that because we're like, we want it now and we're passionate and everyone, can you not see what's in my head? This is but it also needs to be sustainable for.
It is. It's that kind of, it's a push and pull. It's never in balance. You know, at least it's never smooth. It's that pushing and pulling is perfect balance, but it's just so chaotic that, you know, it feels like the whole thing's falling apart all the time. But I think looking back, there's nothing that I have done that I'm disappointed with myself for having done. You know,
amazing.
All of the failures are all very clearly in my mind now, very, very clearly, exactly what needed to happen.
So basically, you're exactly where you need to be right now.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, right? Is that with all of us, in a sense, if you look way back, it's more helpful if you look way back, because recent stuff still hurts a bit. You couldn't be where you are unless you've been exactly where you've been, right? And you can't get where you're going without having done exactly what you've done.
Exactly.
So it's all perfect.
It's
all
perfectly
painful.
But it is like you say, it is for, and I think when you're starting a new business, it's tough because, I mean, I think the younger generation, I mean, listen, you're a younger generation than me, but I think the younger generation beyond your generation are getting more open and more wise and more.
Definitely.
They're seeing through the transparency of certain things, you know, which is great, which means that we're the planet and its population and a human being race, whatever, is growing in the right direction, hopefully. I mean, I can't speak for everybody, but I certainly know that, you know, there's members of my team that are much younger that see things totally different to the way that I was. I had a way of seeing, and that was my way, but it wasn't necessarily my generation's way. So I feel like there's a shift coming out of all of that.
Definitely. There definitely is. I think, you know, on a basic level, people's idea of prosperity is completely shifted.
Yes.
You know, or shifting.
Yes.
Money will always be a factor, and getting the things that we want will always be a factor. But, you know, at least on one tiny level, people seem to be refocusing from stuff onto experiences.
Yeah,
you know, definitely that is happening. Is I think that's the most obvious difference. Once you start doing that, suddenly life gets so much lighter.
Well, I did an interesting meditation. It was one of Jay Shetty's actually the other day. I shared it with a few friends, and it was the I can't remember that, what I'm like with my memory, but it was the fives, and it was think of five things. Think of a person that you love, and think of five things that you're grateful for. Think of a place that you love, and think of four things that you're grateful for. Think of it was, and it kind of worked its way down, and every single thing, not one single thing of them was material.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Of course not.
Not one single thing.
Of course it's not. Yeah.
It was the smells, the tastes, it was just interesting. Now, and I mean, for me now, it's interesting because I have been partial to the odd energy drink, and especially since, stopping drinking altogether, which I've now realized, like, I've always been bonkers. I mean, goodness me, well, let's definitely not put more alcohol in me. I don't need it. But this is wonderful because I can drink this throughout the day. And if I have, like you say, with other energy drinks, and look, there's lots out there and they're all great and they're all fantastic. I'm not saying they aren't or whatever, but it has an effect, I've had heart palpitations. I've had, you've got to be very careful. And young people today are going to energy drinks a lot. So
still, I mean, they're selling more than ever.
They're more than ever. But what is good is you are seeing more natural.
Yeah.
I mean, I would need to talk to you in more detail about that and where that stands. And I would urge everyone to check. I mean, not only is it cool to drink, but look how cool it looks. I need another cap. You're going to have to send me another cap. I've lost my cap.
Yeah. I need to get
I want a trucker cap. I like trucker caps.
I'll get some.
Please get me an IKÓ trucker cap, and I will wear it everywhere because I love it. And for those, I mean, we're talking about socials and going back to basics, but you do have a really good social. I think you have fantastic. It gets your message across on your socials. Where should people best find you? I mean, my youngest member of my team loves your TikTok. She loves it.
Good. So, I mean, the easiest place to find us is online. If you Google IKÓ Drinks, will be the first thing that comes up. Or IKÓ Drinks, IKÓ Drinks, anywhere on social media, anywhere on Google web browser, anywhere at all. If you type in IKÓ Drinks, you will find us as the first result.
Well, that's a bit snazzy, isn't it?
Yeah, there you go.
Kind of like you've been working quite hard the last year.
Something's paid off anyway.
Now, my last thing I want to ask you before you go today, because it's been lovely to see you, and I know you're very busy and you've got to make lots of calls. Are you actually lying down on the floor on the carpet, about to do a back bend?
It's confusing. This thing is like, there you go.
I love it. I needed to know if you were like going to get your spider senses out and sort of do some kind of
start crawling up the wall.
I mean, literally, look what IKÓ does to you. It makes you spidey senses all over the wall. Like,
does all kinds of stuff.
But listen, honestly, it's amazing to talk to you. I've missed you very much.
Chat to you too, Coco.
I really have, and I'm so happy actually that you found the path that's the right one for you, because it's. And I know I've shared this with you with my own business. It takes you one direction, then it takes you another direction. Mine's still taking me in different directions, and it catches you unaware. But everything is a lesson. And it's how you respond to those lessons, and it's what you do with those lessons that's what takes you further. And if you want to grow, you listen to the lessons. And if you don't want to grow, then you just keep ignoring the red flags and just keep going and just smash away at the planet and everything else that's going on, and see where that takes you.
Yeah, exactly. Eventually, you people have no choice but to see and realize.
That's kind of, we know that, but it's sometimes it takes people a little.
Don't make sure it's not too late.
Yeah, make sure it's literally when you're lying on your bed going, oh my God, I wish I'd taken that. I wish I'd gone there. I wish I'd done, which does happen. But I think hopefully less and less. And I think this is wonderful what you do for the planet. I think everyone should be checking this out. I'm going to certainly talk to you more about getting this into Tunbridge Wells more, because I know we have we got some of this in Tunbridge Wells? We did have some, didn't we?
Yeah. Well, I think the final thing I say actually is probably pertains to this is that
because the subscription is what you're it's good to subscribe to this, isn't it? Which
exactly is what we I mean, people are more than welcome to subscribe, of course, as individuals, but what we also love to do is get into offices. That's what we do a lot of at the moment.
Okay.
So if you go to an office, if you
I might go to
do with going to an office, and you guys have got a fridge, then just get in touch through our social media, get in touch on the messenger on our website. We'll actually send a free case as well, obviously depending on the size of the business. But we absolutely love stocking offices. Yeah, exactly. And especially if you're not the one paying the bills, guys, if you have a boss, get them to pay for it. It's perfect. And it's free.
But I mean, honestly, that's a really great thing. And I think, and are you still looking for outlets? You know, if people look, because there are a lot more popping up. There are any outlets?
I mean, we're now sort of starting to do the bigger conversations. We did for a long time. We're in about 100 independents, mostly in London, which we work with directly or have to date. But we're now switching over and having the bigger discussions with wholesalers, catering managers as well. So you'll start to see it pop up in shops over the course of the next year, more and more.
I'm gonna cry when I see it.
It's a long path. Yeah,
I mean, I have seen it on shelves, but you know, when you're like, oh my god.
I mean, it comes back again to it, because it's still such a little known thing, Mate. We've got a great brand, and that usually helps it shift off shelves. But we've just had to I've had to be really careful about when we choose to go where. People often ask me, you know, are you in Sainsbury's, are you in Tesco's? And I'm like, honestly, that's probably about three years away at least, because if we got on those shelves now, we just wouldn't shift fast enough, you know, at least nowhere near as fast as Red Bull and Coca-Cola, and that's the numbers that those guys are expecting. So we don't want to burn those bridges yet. So it's slow and steady, take a really sustainable approach. That will mean that we can be profitable, keep going, and keep making it more and more available. But the easiest place for everyone to get it is to subscribe on the website.
Exactly. And I was just...
So it's £1.33 a can as well.
I mean, £1. I mean, that's... I need some more. I'm going to order another subscription right now after this. As long as I get my trucker cap, that's my only condition, just to cover my wrinkly forehead that I'm getting with my old age. But honestly, I love talking to you, Rafe. I could talk to you all day. Congratulations on your moving new home.
Thank you.
And you look relatively unscathed from the process. So, new home, new relationship, beautiful business, flourishing. I'm very happy for you, my love. Very, very happy.
Thank you very much.
And I think you're a great inspiration to people who start a business, because you're a young man, aren't you? Yeah. I mean, you did have God, I didn't even speak to you on your birthday, Ray.
I did have a birthday. I barely remembered my birthday. I got in loads of trouble.
My son, and I got
in loads and loads of trouble with my girlfriend, because I ended up organising like a massive full evening of kind of meetings way until about 11 o'clock at night.
I was on stealth.
My birthday.
I was on stealth in Thorpe Park, all right? So I've got an excuse. I was at the top of a flipping roller coaster with my 13-year-old
That's all right. I barely remembered it was my birthday until it was. So
happy belated birthday.
Thank you.
To my son's twin. Surrogate godparent, I think you're meant to be.
The best
we're due a visit with a mutual love of Latin, which I find strange, but
it's the best subject in the world.
I know, absolutely right.
Most useful, certainly.
Yeah, and actually, as well, this is just before we go, because oh my god, I could just talk to you forever. Is there an age limit on this?
That is
because of caffeine or anything like that.
It would only be insofar as it contains caffeine. So I would say guidance as per parent.
As per parent. So it's as per parent.
But the one thing I would
say, if you buy in a store, sometimes they'll be like, even me, they flash me up, and I'm like, you don't need to check me.
The one thing I'd say is that Mate, I mean, in South America, where it comes from, if you go anywhere, it's a very kind of family and group thing to do with friends and family. So you see tiny little toddlers slurping away at the kind of full-blown Mate, which is probably about 3 or 4 times as strong as that all the time. Okay. And they're fine. It doesn't give you that negative rush. It gives you a very positive one, but it does give you a rush, and it does contain caffeine. But again, caffeine's not bad if you can support it with all the vitamins and minerals.
Rafe, you've given me a rush today, so thank you. You've given us all a rush of Rafe, and congratulations on
thank
doing
you.
such an amazing
so
job.
good to chat to you.
Oh, it's lovely to chat to you, and I just invite everyone just to check out all your stuff, and I will, continue to support you in any way I can, because I just think it's brilliant. It's great. I love it. So
thank you so much.
You from everyone at the big chat, and thank you for joining us this morning.
Love to you too.
Okay,
I'll speak to you really soon. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Big love.
Cheers. Bye.